Alright, we should be live. We're back. We're working on Green Goblin here and his alter ego Norman Osborn, but we don't really care about him. And we are at 135 spells, and my goal is 60 spells, 40 lands, which means we have to cut 75 cards still, and every single card left on the list is at least playable in this deck. Like, everything is part of a sublist at this point. There's no like one-off unique cards or anything. Like everything is playing into certain aspects of the strategy. Either they are cantripping artifacts, so that way I can discard them and they'll cost 0 mana and draw me a card. 2 mana or less mana rocks, except for one of them, which will let me draw a bunch of cards, which is a 3-drop. But, so that way I can discard them and play them for free to get more mana. Actual storm cards and cards that will win me the game if I keep casting my spells constantly. Cards that will let me draw additional cards for playing my spells, so that way I can keep finding more material to keep going with. Removal for our opponent's stuff and counter spells to, stop what they're doing and protect our combo. And, discard outlets so that I can get these cards into the graveyard so I can cast them for the discount with Green Goblin in the first place. And that is the entire list. Everything on the list does one of those things, so it's just about figuring out which ones are the worst at their jobs now and what the density needs to be of each individual card type and cutting the rest of them off of the list. And that is proving to be very difficult. I did get my one box that I'm getting of this set. Normally I used to get 3 boxes back when, you got 36 packs and only 1 rare per pack and all of that, before all of the set booster and collector booster nonsense. And then I still usually got like 3 draft boxes because that is my preferred thing. Like, spending more money to occasionally have some of the packs be better was not a thing that made me want to get set boosters back in the day. Because the boxes, because one of the places I used to play at used to do a set booster as the first place prize for pre-release. So I'd opened a bunch of them. Yeah, it's not as impressive as it sounds. There was like low turnout and whatnot. This is the same place that now doesn't even fire events, and it's the only place I can actually even occasionally play at every pre-release. So anyway, so after opening them and actually looking at how many rares and mythics and whatnot that I got per box, it's like, this is barely better than a, what is the play booster and used to be the draft booster boxes. I mean, at the time this is barely better than the draft booster boxes, and it costs like, $10 or $15 more. And it's like, I'm getting a handful more foils and maybe like 2 or 3 more rares and mythics. So if those cards are not that impressive, then spending the extra $15 a box at the time did not seem like the correct choice. If I could get them for the same price, I would, but normally I couldn't, so I just wind up getting the draft boosters. And then it's just kind of gotten, like, as the sets have gotten more expensive and the secondary market value of the cards has gotten worse, I've just been drifting further and further away from that. Like, for the longest time I was getting 2 boxes, and now if I can get away with 1 box and just buy the rest of the cards, I will absolutely do that. And Spider-Man being a small set makes that super easy. Also, Jesus, the $200 initial price tag for this set, I'm so glad the box's price is tanked, because I got it for under 150, and so I opened up all my stuff, and I got nothing from the pre-release kits that we had got, because we bought 2 each, and we wound up only doing the 1 event, because nobody showed up for the second one. The people that were there, I think there was literally like 2 people that were there for the morning event, and they didn't want to stay for the afternoon event and left, and nobody else showed up. So we had the other 2 pre-release kits because they discounted it if we bought multiples anyway. So we were like, okay. And the prize packs for winning the first event and for default winning the second event, and none of them were great. Like, I got 2 Cosmic Spider-Men and 2 Mythic Peter Parkers between all of those, and like some bulk. So the box really needed to do the heavy lifting, and it started with a foil Soul Stone, so I was happy with the box, and then Gwenom. So the 2 most expensive cards in the set. That was nice. I did not get Norman, though, so I do need to actually buy him. I got, like, all of the heroes and none of the villains. I have 2 Parkers, 2 Cosmic Spider-Men, Gwen, Miles, Spider-Verse, and not Clone Saga, the Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man meme, Imposter Syndrome. So I've got, like, all of those, but I'm missing Norman, Dr. Octopus, Eddie Brock, and Mr. Negative, who's like kind of a bulk mythic, but I am missing him, and like the rare Craven. Like, I missed on most of the rare and mythic villains. Like, I missed on most of the mythic villains and like 1 or 2 of the rare villains too. Like, I'm missing Craven. I think I'm missing one of the other ones. So I got like all of the heroes and almost none of the villains. That's kind of funny to me. As far as I've got like multiples of mythic heroes, and I've got like, you know, like 1 Lizard and 1 Mysterio and all of that. So it's like, also I did not get any multiversal passages, which I would be if I had not gotten the foil Soulstone and Gwenom, like, I'd be really sad about not even being able to open 1 multiversal passage, but I'll just get them. I'd rather have the foil Soulstone, obviously, as one of the most expensive cards in the set. Literally the most expensive card in the set, technically, so. So I'd rather have those 2. Like, it's a really good box. It's an incredible box, but I am kind of sad about the things I'm missing. I do have to get all of them, especially, you know, Norman here. Anyway, I just wanted to rant about opening my boxes, and it's very on topic because I'm missing Green Goblin. Also, my thing about not opening the villains, so it's funny to me that I got Gwenom, because I assumed she was a villain during one of my drafts, and I took damage from Spot's portal and died, because I assume it's like, it's Gwen Stacy with the Venom symbiote. She looks cool, but she also looks evil as hell. And I just assume that, much like, you know, Peter turning into a jerk and occasionally doing villain things with the symbiote suit, that's where she was at also. And then I took 2 damage from Spot's portal during a draft, so. But yeah, that one I think is live on my YouTube channel now. I don't know if the Twitch VODs are still available for it, but it's up there. You can actually watch it. It's the one titled "Did You Know?" with Gwenom as the thumbnail art, and yeah, did you know she's not a villain? Because I didn't, and that became an issue. Good times. I think that was one of my worst drafts in the format. And part of it was not getting to do anything cool with my rares and mythics, including dying because one of them wasn't a villain. Okay. What are we gonna cut today? Because we gotta cut. I want to cut at least 10 cards again. Yeah, everything is part of the combo, enabling the combo, or ways to protect the combo and or kill our opponent's stuff to stop them from winning in the meantime. And I'm wondering if I cut Oppression because it's not great before Norman's down, And the disruption effect it has on the opponents is fine, but I think the biggest problem with cards like Erstwhile and this one and the one that makes everybody reveal their hand and discard cards except of like one of each color they get to keep, is that um if I'm already going off, if I have, like, the idea is that I'm going to have Norman in play and I'm going to cast this, and everybody's going to lose their hands, and I'm going to then be able to win the game because nobody can do anything. But if I'm about to make everybody lose their hands, then anything that can stop that is going to happen anyway. I'm better off trying to stop opponents with Teferi or Conqueror's Flail or the Barracuda, because then they have to react to that one before I'm even set up and starting to try and combo off from all of them. Whereas if I'm trying to stop them from being able to interact, they're going to be able to interact with the combo, and I kind of need the combo in play with these cards in order for them to not mess me up as bad or worse. Oppression is great if Green Goblin's in play. It's terrible for me if it's not, because then I'm losing all of my extra cards and I'm not getting any of the value from them. And I think that's true of Awaken the Erstwhile and whatever the other everybody discards most of their hand card is without giving cards back. And I already cut things like Dark Deal anyway because I didn't want to change up opponents' hands and give them interaction that they didn't have before. So yeah, we can probably cut all three of those. Yeah, I was thinking about that while working on Fleam yesterday after I ended stream, because we're going to get that midweek Magic Challenge soon, and I was hoping to be done. I am not done. I still have to make like 15 or 20 cuts to that. And that one has like a third of the cards to work with. But it also is missing a bunch of things that would be auto-includes if I had access to them anyway. Or if I have to cut these cards that are on the list to make room for the ones that don't exist on Arena right now, like Scourge Familiar I would definitely find room for, but since it's not on Arena, I don't really have that as an option. So I was thinking about it the same way. It's like if the opponent can interact with the combo, they're going to do it in response to the discard spell anyway. And now I've made myself discard my hand, and Norman's gone, and I can't cast the spells I just discarded, and I have no hand. And the opponent also has no hand, but, now we're both in top deck mode, and that might not be the best thing in the world. So maybe we lose Oppression, and there it is, Noxious Vapors, and Awaken the Erstwhile because of that. And I think that's fair to get rid of all three of them. Not World Wake, and I know there's going to be one more version of it on here. Was there another one, though? Oh, Helm of Awakening. Okay, that makes sense. And Noxious is also down here. And Oppression, which is also down here. There we go. We'll get rid of those three, because I don't think they're serving the function that I put them on the list intending them to have. So I think we can get rid of those three. Those are safe cuts. Okay, then we're back down in this area. Just cut a card from Plane Shift. Is Breakthrough worse than some of my other ones? It's blue to draw 4 and then, have access to all those spells if Norman's out. So it's better Ancestral Recall. And if Norman's out and I can discard Breakthrough itself, I can also keep 2 of the cards if I want to. Like, that's so tempting. Like, is it better than Control of the Courts and Goblin Lore? And I think the answer is yes, because I can cast it for a single blue from my hand with Green Goblin out and discard my entire hand, including the 4 cards I just drew, and have access to all of those spells. Whereas if I don't have a way to discard them, Control the Courts and Goblin Lore are 2 mana to draw 4 and discard 3 at random. I think Breakthrough is better because it's the same 4 cards, but it guarantees everything going to my graveyard. I don't have to worry about additional discard outlets and casting other spells. You know, if I discard the wrong handful of cards, especially if I had like a full grip of cards and I cast this because I wanted to go off this turn and I thought it was safe. I probably want all of the cards in the graveyard at that point. There is a part of me that's still trying to figure out if I can cut all of the creature token makers and creatures gain haste effects from the list and just add in like 1 or 2 other ping because I'm casting the spells that I'm casting. Because if I could cut anger and whatever the rallying cry or whatever enchantment is, and mass hysteria, and like fervor slash should be seize the day or whatever from Lord of the Rings instead, because it would actually buff like the 3 or 4 legendary creatures that I'm running that might be attacking. But yeah, if I could cut like those 4 and like the creature token makers that aren't zombie infestation, because that would also cut empty the warrens from the main list, because I can no longer win straight up by casting them, and I don't want to go the 2-turn route um, that 60 card constructed Storm decks used to go, where it's like if you can't win with Grape Shot, you cast Empty the Warrens and hope that your 50 tokens are good enough to kill your opponent next turn, and then see if they have the Wrath or not. Like, I don't want to get into that position in Commander of all places, because it's pretty likely they're going to have the Wrath. At that point, I kind of want and everybody has to discard their hand, so that way they won't have the options to interact with it on subsequent turns. Not necessarily because this turn needed to stop. So yeah. Trying to figure out if I can actually cut all of those and just have the zombie infestation as an enabler, because it's one of the most efficient enablers. It's 2 mana, and then no more mana investment. The discard is free. I can and have to discard 2 cards at a time, which can be a minor problem if I'm at an odd number of cards and I have something like File of Galadriel in play, where it can be difficult to draw extra cards and then I don't get to draw the additional card. Like, if I keep drawing an even number of cards for each 1 card discarded, so that way I'm always at an odd number with the 1 floating card in my hand, and then I'm missing out on an extra card draw per thing just because of that. So that's a little annoying, but other than that, I think that's the only problem with zombie infestation, and the fact that I won't be able to win the game with all the tokens that I'm making. Also, if I can cut all of those, then I might cut Phyrexian Altar, because then this is the only way I'm making tokens. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure like what the deck looks like if I manage to cut all of those, because then I need to bring in a couple of cards. Like I think we need to bring in, oh god, its name's gone out of my head. The 2-drop 1/3 um from Kaladesh that pings whenever an artifact enters, because then my main way of winning is casting free artifacts from other zones and triggering all of the things that care when I do such. Because it would free up a bunch of deck space, but not nearly enough, is the biggest issue. Like, this is getting rid of, like, I want to say, like, 7 cards at most, and then I probably have to put 2 back in anyway to make up for the win cons that I'm losing. To make the deck more consistent. Like, I might even need to bring back one of the tutors that I cut because of that. That way I can find the win cons I still have. I would also potentially have access to Kavron Memorial World, so I could give the tokens being made by Zombie Infestation haste. It does feel like this is the easier way to win the game once I'm going off, though, is all of the potential tokens and just giving them haste and attacking everybody to death. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I still kind of need to think about it because it's not really clear to me if cutting all of them would be a good idea. I'm spending a lot of time agonizing over it without actually being in a position to make the decision yet, because I need to make sure this is what I want to do. Excuse me. I'm trying to see if any card sixed out to me now as something we can cut, whereas before I might not have thought we could. Staring at this list for an hour at the time. No, nothing is jumping out as this is the bad card on the list now. Fervent Mastery is literally 3 gambles stapled together for potentially 2 mana, but definitely for 3 mana. I don't mind somebody discarding their hand, drawing that many cards in order to try and find answers for what's happening right now. Try and find an instant speed kill spell for Norman. Like, I really don't want to cut that, but at the same time, it's a bit more mana intensive than some of the other ones when I'm trying to combo off. Like, ideally, I just want to already have in play something that is giving me more draws per artifact spell cast, and then to start going off with cantripping artifacts and just drawing my entire deck. Like, that is the ideal situation. So, the easier it is for that to happen, and the cards that work better in such a situation where I'm not going to necessarily have a ton of colored mana to work with until I find certain cards. On the other hand, it does a really good job of finding those cards if I can cast them afterwards. What's this? I have no cards in hand? Well, I guess I will go get... I'll go get Phyrexian Arena, or Phyrexian Altar, and Geralf, and another card draw spell, so that way I can discard all of them and start drawing more cards again while having these two out, making tons of mana for me. Let's get right back into that. Or if I have a way to discard whatever cards I want to. Like, I don't have to be empty-handed at that point, which makes it even easier if I can just tutor for the cards I need. Being able to tutor for 3 of them off of 1 card, and it helps me discard them if I didn't already have ways to discard it. Like, I really want to try Fervent Mastery in this deck, but don't think I have the room for it. I'm going to consider it as one of the cards I'm going to eventually have to cut. It might be Eye of Vecna. I have cut all of the... Or not all of, but I think I've cut most of the... when a thing enters and triggers, it triggers a second time effects, and I'm now focused on... When I cast a spell, I draw the extra cards for casting it. Since I don't have a ton of comes into play triggers that are drawing me cards that aren't the actual thing that's drawing me the card anyway, you know, like when this enters the battlefield, draw a card, having the extra draw triggers be tied to casting that spell in the first place, so I don't even care if it gets countered and I ignore things like Mother of Machines. Which, let's be honest, she's 1 card, but at the same time, she is a card that a lot of people will run, so... having ways to circumvent her and still win the game, with her shutting off the actual card draw from my artifacts, is kind of a big deal. It could be Liar, but he's so strong in this deck. He's basically Yawgmoth's Will without the drawback of if I started to go off that turn and suddenly... And I just now realized I don't have his casting cost or like the open parentheses there, and I'm confused. I believe he's 3 blue. Right. Liar is... Oh, I got all the cavalries, too. Literally his name, though. Liar, Disciple of the Drowned. Yeah, he's 3 blue. Okay, just double-checking. But yeah, the fact that I can use him to flashback all of my instants and sorceries without having to have anything new going to the graveyard getting exiled, which means that I can double up if I draw the instant or sorcery after he's already in play. Whereas with Yawgmoth's Will, it can give me a huge amount of value that 1 turn, but I can't put anything new into the graveyard and have it function properly in this deck, and that was kind of a... that was the thing that killed it for me with how strong that card is in my deck to begin with. It's like, yes, it's that strong, but... Also, it might stop me from actually winning the game after helping me get it back into a position where I might be able to win the game. And that's kind of weird. So I would rather rely on a card like Liar. Because flashing back something like Heracle's Recall is just going to be a huge game. Like, I pick up all of my artifacts, rediscard all of them, trigger all of the cast and ETBs when I play them from the graveyard for free. And the fact that he's automatically getting discounted by Norman because it's flashback. I'm actually casting the spell from the graveyard. Is just that extra little bit of icing that makes me want to run him. Can't refuse. Big score. Bit of reunion. Energy refractor. This one ring. It can be the one ring. Uh, One ring is so much better on a setup turn than on the main turn. Plus, it can keep me alive for the setup turn to get back around to my turn again. Things are going bad. It might wind up being the one ring, though. Triumph, Bloodthorn, Rolf, Artist Talent. So I cut Ral from Brawl, Fleam, but I don't know if I want to cut him from um you know actual Commander Norman Osborn, because on Arena I don't need to turn. If I'm already storming off enough to get counters onto him sufficient to draw the 3 cards and give my other spells storm, then I'm probably already winning the game. Is the issue. Like, I don't need to storm. I don't need to give my spells storm or give my storm spells double storm to win games against opponents that start at 25 life when there's one of them. I might need to give, Grape Shot or Tendrils of Agony storm again to actually win the game against 3 players at 40 life, though. Yeah, well, I might have cut Rao from Fleam. I don't know that I can cut him from this. Have other Wraths, and Flux is a lot stronger in my deck than Evilheim of Flame. The only upside to this is that I can kill, Hate Bears with this card that are stopping me from winning the game without killing Norman. Because this will be the only Wrath that I would have had left that can kill all of my opponent's stuff and leave mine intact, aside from Flux, which I have to cast a bunch of spells anyway. You still have the Vocalist, so maybe I only cut Virtue, like the blue Virtue, because that was the most expensive and weakest of the cards that would copy my triggers. Alright, I'm gonna cut Nibelheim of Flame. I think it's fine in the deck, but I think we can afford to cut it, so. It might be Goblin Lore and Control of the Courts. I need to look at them compared to my other draw and discard outlets and see if I still feel the same way. Because it is a lot of cards drawn for things like Ageless Insight and whatnot, so. Although I cut the Alhamrat's Archive, so But yeah, getting to draw like 8 or more cards would be really cool, but I don't think it's necessary. I wonder about Fleshraker, and then I keep remembering that I have all of the artifacts that tap for colorless, including the 3 talismans and Soul Ring, Mana Vault, Grim Monolith. So we do have the colorless sources necessary for it. There is a chance it will get stuck in my hand at some point in time, but that's okay. I have a lot of discard and draw effects. But I might lose out on the ability to cast him later on if I discard him and don't draw a colorless source in time. I don't think I want to add in like Underground River, Sulphur Springs, or Shivan Reef just to be able to cast him. Because I have a handful of cards that will deal a ton of damage to me in the process of doing stuff, and a Bolas' Citadel, so I'm a lot less inclined to take extra ping damage for no reason to have a colorless source. That's true. Depending on their toughness, I might be able to Toxic Deluge away a bunch of hate bears. They are actual bears. I'm looking at Path of the Pyromancer. I'm wondering if it's too expensive initially, because it's 3 mana if I can discard it, 5 mana if I can't. I get rebated the mana as red mana, potentially, depending on how many cards are in my hand. Maybe that one's not good enough. Alright, so I like Frantic Search and Breakthrough and Faithless Looting and the various Seize the Spoil variants that will rebate me the mana of any color. Change of Fortune lets me draw an absolute ton of cards if I draw it later in the turn. Bitter Reunion is also giving everything haste. Yeah, okay, I can see cutting Goblin Lore, Control of the Courts, and Pyromancers. Also, Pyromancers isn't even down here. Alright, so let's cut these. Oops. Cut these. Alright, do I have any other Nebo? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Get rid of that. Oh, right, Green Goblin. I need to just type in lore. Alright, so there's only the one. Cut that off the main list. And control is right below it. Cut that off. And then scroll down to the brawl stuff, or commander stuff, and get rid of Path of the Pyromancer. 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Down to 128. Alright, there we go. It took most of the stream, but I actually cut excuse me, 7 cards off of the list, so we're almost. I would like to get 3 more off of the list before we're done. Ideally. I might legit be able to cut Starfield Vocalist or Panharmonicon. The question is, do I cut the Panharmonicon because I have to have Norman in play to make it cheaper, or do I cut the Vocalist because it's a creature and therefore more vulnerable to removal than Panharmonicon is? They cost the same if I can discard either of them to Norman, and Vocalist technically uses up a blue where I can use any mana for the Panharmonicon. Because we do have a whole bunch of other cards on this list that will let me draw more cards as I'm casting my spells. It's possible, it's literally possible it's both of them. Like, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, almost a third of the deck is ways to augment my card draw when I'm already casting spells that will draw me cards. Or to pick them all back up and reuse them in the case of Heracle's Recall and Paradoxical Outcome. I am wondering if I cut the recall so that way I don't have to bounce artifacts I don't want to, at the cost of then not being able to bounce every artifact, because, you know, if I have to recast Panharmonicon or Vial of Galadriel or Kark Clan Ironworks, maybe Uthros Research Vessel, if I have to recast all of these things in order to get their effects back online, then that might be eating up too much mana. Whereas Paradoxical, I can just choose to pick up. It depends on how many, like, mana rocks I have that I can cast for free. Because if I'm picking up all of those and getting to replay them, then that will offset the mana that I'm losing. But yeah, maybe Heracle's Recall can go because of that. You know what? I do think Panharmonicon and Starfield Vocalist can go. Because while I do have, obviously, tons of effects that will trigger to draw me extra cards, I can also just be drawing extra cards because I'm playing the spells in the first place, and it gets around a lot more things that would negate the comes into play triggers even working. So if I'm already successfully playing around those, then maybe I don't need the double trigger ones. Alright, so that's 3 more cards off the list. Brings us down to 125, which I do believe was 10 cards cut now. So what are we at time-wise? We got a few more minutes. If I could get 5 more cards off of the list before then, and we're actually at the halfway point to being done, where we just have to cut every other card on the list, I would actually feel pretty accomplished today, I'm not gonna lie. With how hard it is to find cuts for this deck, where I just have to cut things that seem very good in the deck and that I should probably have. So what would I actually be able to get rid of if I cut the creature token makers? Lost in the Damned. Glaring Fleshraker doesn't count. It's actually dealing damage to the opponents by making the O1s, and then the O1s are mana for more spells. Geralf we would lose. Ominous Roost. Empty the Warrens. And then Anger, um, Mass Hysteria, the Commander, all things have haste, and I think Fervor is on the list. So that would be 8 cards. Let me double check on Fervor. Yeah. So we would lose 8 cards off of the list, but now I'm down um, a bunch of ways to win the game. So I have to. I'm pretty sure I lose like 5 cards if I do this, and I have to add in 3 more things that could let me win the game. And very seriously consider cutting Phyrexian Altar since I can't consistently generate the tokens anymore. Because then it's only Zombie Infestation that's still on the list, and I might get an occasional token from Bone Miser, but that's going to be few and far between because I have to discard creatures for that. Yeah, I'm still not prepared to change up the deck that much. Are there any other discard outlets I feel like I can lose? Alright, I have Nahiri's Wrath to deal with opponent's creatures and Firestorm. That's true, I do still have 2 ways to get rid of all my opponent's creatures without. So yeah, the Nibelheim of Flame going is actually even better than I thought. Do I need all of the discard 1, draw 2, make treasures cards? If I don't need all of them, I think Unexpected Windfall can go, because that one, if I can cast it by discarding it, it still costs 2 red mana specifically, whereas Big Score is red and 1, and, like the Pirate's Pillage or whatever is, 1 red mana. Right, I do actually have that one somewhere. Seize the Spoils, there it is. It's not Pirate's Pillage. Pirate's Pillage is the, like, 5 mana, draw 2, make a treasure from blue. But yeah, if we have... if we have the 1 mana to cast it, that's fine. We will get... whatever mana we use, we will get it back. But we have to have that mana in the first place to cast it. So needing to have specifically 2 red for Unexpected Windfall makes it the worst of the group. Also, they're all only letting me discard 1 card to draw more cards, but they're also letting me discard cards to draw cards. I wonder if the sheer volume, though, of cards drawn would have made Control of the Courts and Goblin Lore better than, like Big Score and Seize the Spoils and Unexpected Windfall. Because I'm only getting to discard 1 card, and I'm only getting to draw 2 cards, whereas the other ones were draw 4 and discard 3. So it was a lot easier to actually discard multiple cards off of them. And they were draw first, so I was always going to get to discard a bunch of cards, and I didn't need to have another card in hand to cast them in the first place. Which can be a bit of a thing when I'm throwing my hand away in order to get more stuff out of it. Like, there is a risk that I draw one of these with no other cards to discard. Or no way to discount. Like, if I'm actually relying on Zombie Infestation and I have this and another card in my hand, and those are the only 2 cards in hand, I cannot... Yeah, I'm wondering now if I made a mistake by cutting Goblin Lore and Control of the Courts, if I should have actually been cutting these 3 instead. I got hung up on the idea that they're basically free because I'll get rebated the mana that it costs to cast them, and that's raising my storm count while casting them. And that is the argument. It's like if I have to cast Goblin Lore or Control of the Courts, it's always 1 red at least in order to cast them, and I'm always down that mana. Whereas these ones, I will always be net neutral on mana, and anything that makes big score cheaper, which is right now I think the Geist and Helm of Awakening, I think, are the only two left. Because they work on all of my spells. I can actually go up mana on one of these things. I can only go up mana on big score specifically, because we can't reduce the cost of spoils spoils by 3. Like, that does nothing to reduce its casting cost, and Unexpected Windfall is always 2 red. I think out of all of them, the Windfall can go, but I am wondering if I want to ditch the other ones and bring back Control of the Courts and Goblin Lore. Alright, I think we do lose Unexpected Windfall out of these. It's the most difficult to cast. It is the one most likely for me to trip up on while trying to go off if I don't have the other cards to work with. And yeah, we're past my usual stop time, so I think we call it there. I'll think more about if I want to get rid of the other cards. But yeah, it's going to do it for me for right now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.